Welcome back, it's DestinysJesus here. In today's video, I spent literally all day going ahead and watching replays of the Placement Cup to give you guys 10 of the best tips and tricks for Chapter 4 that I can find from a whole load of different pros. I've got stuff for off-spawn, stuff for mid-game fights, stuff for mid-game itself, stuff for solo clutching, stuff for taking height. Literally a whole load of things that will help you guys get better from loads of different pros. I've got basically pretty much every single top tip pro. If you haven't watched my last video on Malibuka and Thomas HD, they're pretty much the only top tier duo that I haven't included in this video since I've already done most of their stuff in the last video. But let's get straight into this with tip number 1. And if you guys can make sure to go ahead and leave a like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it a lot. 100% of the augments you should always take this season is to be using Bush Warrior. It basically means you always are going to be 150 HP as long as you've been near a bush, and also works in these stacks of elites. You can see here, Drake and Trutlex are making a pretty difficult rotation. He gets tagged up from the hill behind him, but it's completely fine and he just hops into a bush. And a lot of people expect people during mid-game to be boxed up and popping heals, obviously in this case. However, these guys just completely sit silently in a bush and get a guaranteed kill from it as well. So you can see they get a nice 3-2-1 on this guy. Unfortunately, Jericho gets tagged up as he goes for the body, but it's completely fine. He goes back sitting in the bush, and then as his teammate gets the Siphon, he's back on 200 HP with a refresh. Definitely one of the best perks you can take. Highly recommend it. This is a really good strat if you're ever caught out on a bad side of Storm. As you can see here, Cammy and SETTY land at Frenzy Fields. They basically spend the entire early game looting up and farming and getting Surge, and then they go ahead and rotate the opposite way to Storm. As you can see here, it's obviously going to pull up north. In this case, if you know how to predict zones, or if you have forecasts, you know exactly where it's going to pull. So these guys don't start rotating Storm. They stay back in Storm, run the whole way back, and as you can see, they go down here and get a boat. And this works really well because the diameter of the map is a lot smaller compared to in previous seasons. So you can basically boat rotate around in dead side, which is really, really good to do. Just quickly, here is a map of all the boat spawns. You can basically do this anywhere on the map, no matter if you're landing up north, you're landing over left side, landing over right side. You can do this no matter where you're landing on the map. Chill, farm up all your mats, make sure you've got a bit of white hills, and also make sure you know where the white hill spawns are, like all of these things you can see here. Make sure you know what all of these are as you do your boat path round, and it means you're going to be a lot more stacked going into later parts of mid game. And also, of course, make sure you book your Surge. So you can see these guys come out, they've got cat mats, and they've got a very easy wrap up to dead side or to get into third zone up on a hill, which is actually what they ended up doing. Mr. Savage here shows one of the best ways that you can go for height in the current season. It's also pretty risk free. So basically what you're going to go ahead and do is just play a normal mid-ground game, try to find some refreshes, and then go ahead and do a hammer rotate from mid-ground layer, a land towards second height on front side. It also helps if you're a little bit more towards the left or right hand side of zone, so you're a little bit further away from where that backside height would be. When you go ahead and land, basically what's going to happen is the height team spots you on second height, and they're going to go ahead and start building over towards you and trying to connect you. When they're building over towards you, you want to go ahead and do ramps just like this, back into Storm, away from the other height team, and start spraying and pressuring them. So you can see here, they spray and pressure height, eye drop goes ahead and builds up, and the Mr. Savage keeps on spraying continuously and forces the other team to drop. He also does a very good job of while he's reloading here. He builds even further forward, looks to spray again, and then goes ahead and just builds up on front side. And from here on out, they've got a very free win gift system from that very nice height take. A really good strat for mid-game this season is to go somewhere near center third where you can refarm like a house or a building, in this example for Mr. Savage and eye drop. And then you want to go ahead and build a massive tarp to where you know 50-50 is going to be when it shows up. So you can see here, these guys build a massive tarp in towards the center of zone, and then now they're going to go ahead and, as you see Mr. Savage are gelling here, he waits for zone to start closing, waits for all these people outside the circle to start closing in and start rotating in. Everyone, of course, is going to go ahead and tag these people as they come in and look for shots on them, and these guys very simply get a really free rotate. It's actually a really useful trick as well you can do, that Mr. shows here, is as you're jumping down to a reverse ramp, and a little slide on it, and you get a nice speed boost, so you get a very nice rotate completely for free, and now he's boxed up in 50-50 as one of the first teams there with cat mats as well. It's one of the best tactics that you guys can do, especially if you're not in the highest division, or let's say you're only in contender or challenger. This would work really well, is to go ahead and try to carry a launch pad for the most of the game. So you can see here, Vidilnera launch pad and then scout height while in the air. The current thing is with this meta, everyone is hammering around, everyone's playing lower mid-ground layers and trying to avoid hitting hammers, but no one is really playing height. So you can see here, these guys go ahead and scout a height, there's no one playing for it at all. They go ahead and box up, keep on scouting height, realize there's no one up top. And then they make the call to go ahead and land front side on second height and just fully crank for it. Again, Nova goes up, places a ramp, gets it, and from here on out, they basically got a free win from this point. You guys might think this is a little bit lucky, just getting free height gifts and stuff like this. However, I can't tell you how likely this is to happen in your games where people are afraid to play height, especially this early. Just taking it end of first moving and then controlling the lobby is a really good strategy. These are two of the best tips I can give you when you're solo clutching in the current endgame meta. So the first one is, of course, low ground is pretty good. However, you want to be making sure towards the end of moving zone, you want to play a little bit higher layer so you don't get pre-edited on and you don't get fought by a duo. Then also try to carry 2 hammers if possible, if you could get your duo's hammer. And that means you have basically unlimited mobility for the majority of the endgame. You can always do very nice escapes from boxes and basically avoid dying for as long as possible. And if the other solos in the lobby only have 1 hammer, that means that your charges will outlast theirs. And the next thing, which is very smart, like SETTY does here, is he's basically playing a nice high layer as it comes into the end of moving zone. So he has really free options to go ahead and land front side, low ground of where the next zone is going to pull. So he's basically got forecast. He's going to wait, scout out top of his box there, and then he's going to go ahead and use his hammer. One thing whenever you're doing this is make sure not to be too high of a layer. As you can see, he gets pumped by height. However, it's completely fine. He lands front side with no one around him, and this basically means he's in a perfect spot to look for a refresh, and he actually gets a refresh gifted to him just because of how good this position is. You can see here, someone dies next to his wall because they're trying to move what everybody else is on the backside, and he gets sprayed out, and he very nicely gets a big refresh here, and he's pretty stacked, and that's why he clutches top 5 as a solo this game. A lot of players make this big mistake when it comes to off-spawn fights with a lot of parties involved, but Tasting a Mustache avoid this. It's basically, when you spot an opportunity to third party, a lot of teams just jump into it straight away, rather than letting the fight progress and continue until at least one of them sort of gets knocked, and they're actually fully committed. Sometimes I see teams, they go ahead and just ramp in and just start fighting and spraying or trying to get tagged on a team while they're fighting. It basically stops the fight. But these guys allow the fight to happen and then catch them on the back foot. And you can see here, they initiate a pinch instantly. They both go from different angles. Mustache gets straight in box and actually gets a kill here. Tayson is going around the side and immediately realizes he needs to go to help Mustache. So he pinches in from the back and very simply just wipe the duo. Of course, they could have maybe got some more kills if they intervened a little bit sooner. But there's nothing like guaranteed just pinching from the side after a team's wiped a fight. And there's a lot of their edits that aren't going to be theirs. This is a very small movement tip I haven't really seen talked about in a very long time, probably like 2 or 3 years. So I'm just going to give you guys a quick reminder. It's when you're in an awkward situation like Trudex is in here. Him and his opponent both miss their pumps, and it's a little bit awkward in a sort of 50-50 angel. One of the best things you can do is to crouch spam, which I'll show you correctly how to do. The reason that crouch spamming is so effective is basically because your character is moving at a very hard track rate where you can't really get headshot, and also they do try to headshot you, they're going to miss their shots after. So basically what it looks like is rather than just crouching and uncrouching, which is even as fast as I do it, it's pretty much capped at speed. You want to go ahead and crouch and then jump to uncrouch. So you can see there, makes it a lot quicker and your character is sort of moving awkwardly around. Just make sure you don't jump twice and actually end up hopping in the air. Really a lot easier to get tracked. Just go ahead and crouch just like that, and you can basically be a lot harder to hit during box fights, especially those awkward situations where you're just angeling somebody at point blank range. In this chapter, footstep audio got changed a lot, especially when someone is crouched. You can pretty much always hear where they are and which direction they're coming from. However, one thing you can do that Vidil know already do a lot when the W King opens is to go ahead and crouch while ADS. This makes no audio at all. You don't show up on visual audio as well. So you can go ahead and sneak directly up next to people. Exactly what they do here. Get that opening 3 to 1. And also, this is a pretty nice thing that I've not seen too many people do, is to go ahead and throw a body and then throw a floor. And then you can actually catch the body perfectly so you're in your own box. So you can't get jumped on by the guy's teammate. Again, just small mechanical things like that make a difference at this top level from Vidil here. Take a look at how shambles Venno is and how he's actually able to convert this into a 10 kill solo win. So first thing that he does very smartly is to go ahead and not try to early rotate and be first one in the storm. There's no point boxing up on 60 HP and 10 builds and trying to look for a refresh that way. He realizes he needs to play backside of storm and lurk around and try to look for a kill on a solo so he can get some minis and get stacked for that kill. And this is exactly how he does it. So first of all, he's lurking backside of storm, and then take a look at how he gets into this guy's box very smartly using the new Thunder shotgun. He goes ahead and pumps the wall from a distance. It does more damage than a regular pickaxe. So then he's able to go ahead and just one hit in with his pickaxe. So he makes no audio. Apart from that shotgun shot, the guy could very easily miss because he's focused on boxing up and popping heals. All he hears is Venno swinging once on his wall. As he turns around, Venno is straight through his box. From his perspective, because Venno is timing the jump very well, he comes straight through his wall and instantly kills him. As you can see here, he gets insanely stacked. And actually takes height as a solo this game, which I really recommend doing if you want to get better at solo clutching, is looking for height in this duo meta.